This is Chamber of Insanity on Reaper 1. Alright, so this is going to be straight away a lot tougher than the hard run. The first thing is that those bosses are going to be they're orange names, so they're typically going to be champions, which is almost worse than being a red name boss in terms of difficulty. They tend to do more damage, have some tough special abilities. So this is one of the tougher. This is in the House Kundrick 5 and 6 chain for sure. This is probably the toughest of the quests. At least I think it is. All right, just as a reminder, there's a trap here to the left of the lever on these. If you pull that, if you don't disable it, you're going to get a poison trap. If you disable it, you'll get it. Now we're pretty happy here because we have Ghost Touch, which we got last level, so that should help with these guys quite a bit. And you can see that Champ does a lot of damage. And they could drop a chest. It's a double chance of dropping chests this weekend. It's a bonus weekend. But because we're running four levels over, Carnage Reaper. Let's get this guy down real quick. All right, because we're running 4 levels over, we get significantly reduced chance for that. So let's see. That's the Necromancer. Probably one of my least favorite spells to go against at this level is Sleet Spell. Once you have freedom of movement, that's not a problem, but we won't be able to get freedom of movement until we get 10,000 remnants. And that's probably not going to happen this life. Maybe not even next life, but for sure the life after. It may happen next life. Depends what we do, but when we get that, we'll have a 10-minute clicky for freedom of movement that we could use whenever, pretty much almost non-stop throughout the whole quest if we just shrine every 10 minutes. Alright, so same pattern, rinse, repeat. We're going to get a control panel. We're going to summon the boss, who's probably going to be a champion. We'll be very happy if he's not. This one's not, so we got a little bit lucky, and you'll see this guy's. They still do a little bit of quite a bit of damage, but not nearly as much as the champions. These guys have always hit harder than most orange name bosses for the level. All right, let's move on. Get these whites, and I'm using this instead of the Vorpal sword because typically Keen's not going to help us much because we don't have a lot of armor piercing, and most undead are going to be immune to critical hits, have pretty hefty immunity, and then Vorpal doesn't work on undead. So that's why I'm not using this weapon. I'm using my Holy. Alright, I'm going to try to summon this Plague Reaper over here and retreat back to this room. Hope I can get it in here because we don't want to fight it with a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to get my haste boost on. We want to fight it by itself if we can. Alright, so that worked pretty well. And Reapers are always our biggest concern in these quests, so we're going to always try to take them one-on-one if we can, or find some way to separate them, you know, sort of divide and conquer type approach when possible. And I'm getting low on wand. I'll probably need after this quest to get another wand. I've been using that to top myself off. Alright, so I'm going to get my haste boost on. Actually I could probably do this and then use it. So we'll do this. Alright, not a champion, so I didn't need to do that. But you can see that still... Did I forget to do the trap? I did. That was my problem. So I blew it there. I pulled the lever without getting the trap, and you can see the kind of damage it does. So I'm going to disable it now and raise Marissa, which, by the way, that's another benefit we have, is Marissa now has the raise dead. So if for some reason I die and she doesn't, which, you know, kind of unlikely, but sometimes what will happen is you could, if you have her parked, like you don't always need to have her with you, then you could just have her quickly throw a heal on you. Alright, so that was a mistake. You always disable this trap first. You can see how deadly it is. I have pretty high saves, which is how I survived that. But, you know, it was just a dumb mistake. I risked a wipe by doing that, but maybe that's good. Maybe you'll, you know, maybe it'll help you remember not to make the same mistake. Yeah, you might be wondering, we could probably handle Reaper 2, Reaper 3. Yeah, I think we probably could. The reason I'm doing Reaper 1 is at lower levels, until you get to about level 8 or 9, the difference between skulls isn't much, so it kind of scales up with the level. So if you're running a level 8 or 9 quest, you certainly would want to consider a higher skull for more Reaper XP. But at this level, it's almost, unless you're doing it for the challenge, there's not much point in terms of what you'll earn and earn from it.
The last of the race fades into nothingness.
All right, so now we've got the end fight.
Back a measure of warmth. In the distance, you hear stone grating against stone.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of charging end fights, so I'm gonna just throw an arrow here and see if we can't get this guy. So now I'm gonna run back here. I think this guy will hunt us down. Yep, you can see him. So let's just go back here. And let's make it an unfair fight, one-on-one. And the incorporeal is actually my hireling hitting him. Let's kind of face this way so we can kind of keep an eye on him. And you can see he's doing pretty good damage, so it's nice to face him. Certainly better to face him one-on-one. You have to be careful. Like in this quest, we could do it, but in some quests, if you drag a boss too far away, he does what's called a stop sign, where he'll like, hey, go back to his starting position, and if you did damage to him, he'll restore to full health. So that's one mechanic they put in to basically prevent dragging of bosses. Although, they have specific reasons why they don't always allow it. I don't think they care in a quest like this. And so that is Chamber of Insanity on Reaper 1.